Welcome to episode 67 of the ADHD Adults Podcast. Another gripping onto life like a limpet, doomed to fail experiment of adding more bafflement to your lives on a Thursday. As usual, I'm James Brown, the man with fewer ability to do grammar than a rubber plant and literally less brain cells as well. That is definitely down to Alex. Thanks, Alex.
Great writing there, Al.
And as usual, I'm joined by... And as usual, I'm joined by the man who chose to correct people's use of what is a very flexible language over having any friends at all. The ball-faced and ball-ache, Dr. Alex Connor, and the queef of chaos, Mrs. ADHD. Sam, hi.
Hello.
Alex, hi.
I liked ball face and ball ache. That was good. Is this a Thursday one? It's playing havoc with my numbering system in my head. Is it 67? What's happening?
It is,
66.
Right, no, 67.
Oh, 67.
Right. Yeah. Just a reminder that we started this podcast for educational reasons to help people, but no one liked that bit, and people just asked for more personal reflections and bonus content. So now we have time for an extra one, as my only other hobby is being smug about James not being able to spell in when he texts all of his friends. And James has now recruited a replacement for his work on the social media side of the charity. Well, it's not a replacement. He's just put a gerbil on his keyboard, and those are his posts. No one's noticed, James. It's been 2 weeks. You're golden, I think.
Literally, everyone thinks it's the same. Okay, so I'm going to preface this with a guess who wrote this bit phrase. So it says, this Tristan and Isolde of a podcast.
Oh, no, why does that ring a bell? Tristan and Isolde?
Shakespeare, is it?
No.
No, it's not. Who is it?
Man, I think we can all agree that none of us like Wagner, even people who say they do.
But I recognise that.
Well, it's a really famous medieval story, even ancient story, really, that was put into operatic form by Wagner, who, frankly, only musically is better than he sounds, because, it doesn't.
I think they made a film of it.
Anyway, this anal wart that you find on your husband, which has really made you question everything of a podcast, is also a tragedy in 3 parts. We'll discuss how this awful week has been between podcasts from our own ADHD perspective and as people involved in the adult ADHD community. We'll answer some questions from that community. So again, remember to send questions in. Discord is where we're getting most of these from. Now we've got almost 1,300 people on there. And then we'll talk about this.
1,300?
Yep.
That's amazing.
We'll talk about this week's podcast theme. Why we chose it.
The little pauses James make. And you can't see it, but I can see his blood pressure rising.
Yeah. We'll talk about blood pressure later. Why we chose it, I mean, it's obvious. And how we feel about it, kind of obvious as well.
Sad.
So, yes. So, we'll start off with Alex. How was your week, Al?
Really good, thanks.
I've still got a dad.
Yeah. Oh man, well, it was really good because I was thoroughly enjoying texting wildly inappropriate jokes to someone having a really dark time, and then thing happened yesterday. I had a hilarious emergency trip, as you all know, to the yeah, it's not that in German, it's a different abbreviation, because I lost a lot of blood, and that was hilarious. And now I'm on bed rest, which is, I've got my feet up right now, but yeah, so a bit shit, mate. Wish I was you. How was yours?
I know, it's much easier for me. Sam, how was your week?
Bit shit, mate, to be honest. I don't know if you could tell, but I've been crying a lot. I could barely open my eyes. I don't know. Do I go into the whole thing now? All my week?
It's a podcast. We've got personal reflections on grief later, but this is about how was your week.
Yeah, really awful. I've had massive RSD this week because I've been feeling like I'm not entitled to feel this level of grief because he wasn't my dad. So then I project this onto everybody else and presume that everybody else is thinking, what the fuck is she doing here? She's not entitled to be here. And then really struggling to know what my boundaries are and what's appropriate, because as you know, I'm not great with people anyway, and really I like it. I'm not good at knowing what's expected and accepted socially, so I'm scared that I'm going to cause problems at the funeral by saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, which I definitely will. So I've been worrying about that a lot. I've been getting loads of what.
It's okay. You can't worry about the funeral. You're not invited.
I mean, he's not lying.
I'm not entitled to be there, am I?
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
And lots of anger. And then yesterday I thought, oh, James is fine. I'm sure he'll be fine to go into work on campus. He wasn't fine. No. And I was trying to contact him all afternoon and he wasn't responding. So then I thought he's definitely killed himself.
Yeah.
So rushed home and he'd just taken a load of sleeping tablets because he wanted the day to end and was sleeping.
When you say a load,
he's still here, so not that many.
It'll take a lot to take me down, mate.
That's a fair point, yeah.
So we were supposed to be having tea with his family last night, but we had to cancel because he wasn't in any position to go anywhere. So we just stayed and cried a lot instead.
Most people just say, fine, thanks. How was yours?
Yeah.
She's really good, thanks.
She's so on trend, though, isn't she?
That's true.
Is anyone going to ask me, or shall I just, carry forward?
How was your week, James?
Nope.
How was my week? I'm going to, again, try and keep this ADHD related.
Jesus.
I know, massively inappropriate, right?
The fucking nerve it takes to do that.
I know, it's impressive.
Not for me. Doesn't take any nerve for me.
Of course. I honestly just have to applaud you. I'm not even angry. I'm too tired to be angry, to be honest. So fair play, Sam. Fair play.
Thanks.
Again, I'll try and keep this ADHD related because I could just talk about all the crying and all the sadness. So what I'll say is this week that obviously Dad passed away on Sunday, and I thought in an eerily reminiscent fashion to when I got over domestic anxiety. I thought after 2 days, I'm over this. I'm fine. Yeah, yes, I still cry a bit, but I've accepted this generally. Which, as we said, I think on Monday, I said 20 times during the process of him passing. I'm at peace with this now. It's okay. Yeah. I'm not at peace with this all of a sudden. But then I had to write Dad's eulogy. Fuck me, that just ripped me to pieces. And it's not even writing the eulogy. It's the stuff I want to put in there that I know I can't, because then it just is about me and him. It has to be about the family and him and the community. And I just wanted to put in all this stuff about how he was my best fucking mate and how much we loved each other, and I couldn't.
Bit rude.
And then the stress of that, God, this is going to hurt again. Dad hated smoking. And that I've been smoking. I stopped, and I started when he went back into hospital, because for me the writing was somewhat on the wall and it was an emotional crutch to get through that. But when Dad was no longer awake but still with us, I made him a promise, and I said, I'm going to give up smoking. I promise you I'll give up smoking when this is over. And I gave up that promise because it was such a bad day when I wrote this eulogy, and for a couple of days I've been fucking desperate for a cigarette, but I kept on saying, no, you made him a promise, you stick to it. Imagine the guilt at giving up that promise.
Have you still given up the promise, or are you going to try?
What I've agreed is it's probably unrealistic in the days after your parents died to not do something you've been doing for the last definitely 10 months and then intermittently for the last year. So I've agreed that I'll wait till after the funeral, when it's probably more likely that I will have another particular point to say, yeah, I'll stop smoking then. So I will keep that promise, just in a slightly watered down way.
So as your coach and sometime friend, you are probably aware. You are aware because you're a very good coach as well, and you are aware that when you're planning something, an outcome, whoever you are, but especially if you've got ADHD, to say you are doing it because of a reason, like a long-term reason, like a promise or a health issue, or anything like that, will not work. Might not. Yeah, will not. So let's have a chat after this and talk about some of the short-term ways you can keep that promise, because no one should feel guilty if you've got ADHD about wanting to achieve something and not being able to. That's what this podcast is all about, right? You daft, vampire-looking Tintin bastard.
Anyway, so that meant that yesterday we were meant to go over and have a meal with my family, which is just a lovely idea of the family sitting around and eating, and I couldn't. and the main reason was, and yes, I have a mood disorder and I've got ADHD, but the thought of being there, having a meal while he wasn't there, it just drove me into utter low mood and despair, and I just couldn't. And then I felt the guilt at not being able to go, and I felt weak, and I felt all of those negative emotions. And we didn't go, and it would have been bad if I did. And the last thing I'll say is I've had a while. We sometimes, breaking the fourth wall, we record these 2 episodes back to back. But I sometimes think when we do split them up by a couple of days, it does give you a bit of perspective to think about whatever theme it is. And I've been thinking about Dad's possible ADHD. And, it's clear in my family the people who have ADHD traits and those who don't. And I think, and Mrs. ADHD agrees with me, that Dad was probably an attentive type ADHD. In that, again, you put a film on that he would ask for, and within 10 seconds, he's looking out the window into the street and can't focus on that. When he has the remote control, it would just be click, 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 click. Nothing would hold his interest apart from 3 programs: Heartbeat, Last of the Summer Wine, and he did like watching his Sam and Irish program about rebuilding houses. Other than those things, absolutely, because he found them rewarding, couldn't watch them. Always injured. He would come home from work every day with blood trickling down his head, and I'd say, "What have you done?" And he'd go, "What?" Dab his head and go, "Oh, I don't know." Like, no idea that he would bang his head and injure himself, and just like me, would walk around the house like a chimp with his knuckles like this and bang the back of his hand onto door handles. And I've got those scars as well because I'm the same. So there was something nice in that, in thinking about the fact that he had those traits that I've got. That's probably where I got it from. So that's been my week, mate.
Well, can't really argue with that. I desperately want to say something mean.
I really wanted to, and I did really well to stop myself.
You did.
Well done.
You did. Well done. Right. The next question is, what stupid thing have you been doing instead of what you're supposed to be doing? Sam first.
Oh, last night James was really struggling, as we know, so came home to be with him, but instead got fixated on putting a caricature of Robert in a frame, and it wasn't lining up, so I had to keep redoing it and then get other frames, and in the end James had to come into the room and go, "Hey, do you want to, like, I'm on my own crying, do you want to spend some time with me?" And I was like, "Yep, in a minute, I just need to get this done."
I would put it to you. Do you want a wonky caricature picture in a frame? No. So.
And then this morning, when we should have been recording that, I should have been having a shower to record this. I was just going through my phone for photos to sell.
No, so just to clarify, she's not on OnlyFans. There is a website. There are websites where you can sell your photos.
That'd be niche.
You'll love this out. Sam has sold a picture of me in a hot tub for 1 cent.
I sold a picture of me with Bell's palsy for like 15 cents or something.
What the hell are you talking about?
There's a website called Stock Image, and there are lots more. If somebody wants a stock image, you can sell your images to that website, and they can license them. But the fee depends on
James. I'm not asking if someone would buy it. I'm asking, why the hell would you sell an image of yourself with Bell's palsy for 50?
It's hilarious. It gives my brain reward.
She's ADHD. You cunt.
You can't.
There we go.
The C word.
Smug smile.
How will it work when you see that popping up with no copyright?
I'd think, oh, ace, there's me with Bell's palsy, and somebody's paid $1.57 for that.
What was the one that they paid a decent amount for? There was one that paid like 30 quid, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Don't look now.
Okay, but I mean, you asked now.
Anyway.
I'm not going to remember, am I? So I have to look.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll go next because no one ever asked.
Go on.
Alex has put in the script probably drugs to answer the question, what stupid thing have you been doing?
For you,
He's not wrong. I've been doing drugs that you get from a chemist and ones you get from the alley along the side of a chemist as well. And that is a coping mechanism. Other than that, like I say, I've been... When you lose somebody, not in the way that I want to lose Sam, but when you lose somebody, what people never prepare you for is the horrible logistical nitty gritty you've got to go through afterwards. And it's things like getting the death certificate signed, and people don't realize that if the person that's passed hasn't seen a doctor in the last 2 weeks, the GP will not sign the death certificate. And if you imagine during this, if you think back to during COVID when nobody could see a GP face to face, then that meant that the coroner's offices were completely overwhelmed because it goes straight to the coroner. So even though we had asked the GP to come out and said the way in which Dad was, and they'd gone no, and we'd asked them to prescribe a drug which is given at end of life, and they'd gone no, and we'd had the palliative care team agree he's on end of life care and send out nurses with all the drugs, GP still said no, not going to sign it. And again, imagine the emotional regulation around that, the anger, the fear. I want to go and burn that GP surgery down.
Oh, shall we?
Probably not while there are patients in there, Sam.
You can wait till after hours.
That's
that's
throwing the baby out with the bathwater for me.
It is. That alongside finding caterers who charge, I mean, like, we only charge £20 a head for a finger buffet. Oh, do you know, at a funeral? That's very kind of you.
Did you see the ones I sent through?
Yeah, mine was better though.
I know it was, wasn't it? Well done on that.
Yeah.
No funeral admin talk. What? I mean, literal. What? £20 a head?
Yeah. One of the places that I looked at that was recommended, and it said on their website, weddings, funerals, Alex's face, £20 a head they charge. And I just thought, I did the maths, Alex, and that was about £1 million for the 30 people that are going to be there. So that being a booking a hall, all of this shit when you're grieving, not mourning. I've learned that when you're grieving, it's really hard. And when you've got ADHD and therefore you're going to have emotional dysregulation or forget stuff. It's been a weird week. What about you, mate?
Same. Every time. That makes me laugh every time. It was great. I was doing I was learning, about Haitian Creole or Creole. I don't know how they choose to pronounce it. And lots of fun things I should have been doing while I should have been working. And then yesterday I lost a load of blood accidentally. And now I've got to reevaluate many aspects of my life, which is fucking irritating.
Did James drink it?
She fucking beat me to a joke. That was good timing, Sam. Well done.
Yeah, it was.
I know. I saw you raise your hand and thought, I'm going to get in there first.
I was going to say it's the first time you've been covered with blood that's not your own. That is your own, Alex.
Not your own, really. It was good. They were both good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, so terribly, but yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so having to have tampons up my nose, used 11 tampons and it still didn't stop. Filled them. It was
How did you fit 11 tampons up your nose?
It's like one of those Guinness record. How many
not
tampons
all at once.
Can you fit in your
nose? Oh, okay.
They were the problem is you can have cerebral bleeds and it was very high up and it wasn't clear if it was like capillaries at the top of my nasal cavity or if you can't see, James is crossing his fingers that mine was a cerebral bleed. Unbelievable.
Amazing. Right. On that note, we're going to take a break. We'll come back in part 2 to answer some questions from the ADHD adult UK community. See you in a bit.
All right. See you later.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor.
Welcome back to episode 67 of the ADHD Adults podcast, where we are talking about, as always in part 2, things people in the community have asked. The problem is that we're doing this for the grieving episode after Monday, where James is sad and Sam is less sad, but a bit sad.
Not entitled to be sad.
Sam, not entitled to be sad. Yeah. Discord is just growing and growing, and we absolutely adore it.
Forgot I was in that.
Okay. If you want a community which is genuinely chaotic, but really lovely, really, really lovely, and you want to discuss ADHD, whether you have it or not, we don't give a shit. Think about joining the ADHD Adults Discord community. One of those aspects is...
sorry, mate, go on.
No, please.
No, you carry on. I'll say at the end.
One of those aspects is that we have questions to ask people, and that's this bit now. Go on, James, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that we mentioned this a bit, I think, on Monday. The love and support I've been shown in general, we've been shown in general. Obviously, Sam's less
entitled
to it. But the love we've been shown has been incredible. But on Discord, it's been phenomenal. And what that really hammers home is it's such an accepting community. You will find your people if you come there. It's completely free. We don't charge for you to be on there. You get to speak to us. We're going to do something for Christmas, aren't we, Al? Which will be
before Christmas, right?
Before Christmas, not on Christmas Day. I mean, I might be there on Christmas Day because I fucking
we can be there on Christmas Day for anybody else.
We'll do a Christmas Day one, but yeah, that's a good thing. Is it's completely free and you do get access to us. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone on there.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, didn't we? One thing I should say is when you go on, it looks a bit bonkers and you think, oh, can I say anything? There's an introduction thing where you can just say hello. You don't have to. You can just lurk. And that was it. Good. Right, you ready for some questions, you lot? It's not about grieving just for this middle bit because we're going to come back to that.
Yeah, and thank you so much for doing these because I realised that I was supposed to, but I've done nothing since.
I know you are a lazy twat though, Sam. I think we can all agree on that.
That's true.
So true.
Okay, so we've had a question from. It's so much more. It's so much nicer. It's hard to find mean questions. They're all lovely. Unlike Ticker, where sometimes they're really mean to you, aren't they, James?
They are mean to me on Ticker, Alex. They are mean to me on Ticker.
Anyway, this question is from Tim B, who says, since starting meds, in this case Concerta, which is methylphenidate, if slow release, if you're interested, I've lost all interest in watching TV. Is this a thing? Otherwise, the drugs have been working great, and I don't know if I was ever that interested in TV anyway. But now I have absolutely no idea to watch anything. James, do you relate?
Maybe that's what's going on with me. Sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah. Your lived experience is very important, Sam. If you could keep it until someone says, Sam, and what about you?
I've got it.
That's right. We'll cut that in post. We won't.
We won't, will we? You won't anyway. What I would say is it's not something that I personally struggle with because it's one of the few things I get reward from. I can sit down and watch the 4-hour cut of Justice League, literally over 4 hours without moving because I get so much reward from film. But anecdotally, I've heard from lots of people who've said that whatever it is that they liked, whether it's making music, whether it's art, whether it's, again, watching television, that they do sometimes on some ADHD meds, all of a sudden struggle to engage with that activity. And one of the things that often happens with ADHD meds is they do make you more functional. They do allow you to focus on things, but sometimes you can't pick which things you focus on. It's not necessarily a hyper focus, but you will find that increased focus will not always be on the functional job/hobby things that you do.
Oh, hugely. We're going to do an episode on this. A lot of people say to me, it's really important, James, that you've said that. A lot of people say, I had to stop the meds because I was going down rabbit holes. And I think that they all thought that the drugs would make them do their accounts and be interested in. It doesn't change your focus. It allows you to do the things you like to do. And I realize that there's a huge misunderstanding about what these medications do. It's such a good spot.
Yeah, so we should do an episode on that. Lots of people ask about meds and the side effects from meds and all of that. Sorry.
We will.
Welcome to Sam Repeats What Alex Says, but just in a Stoke accent.
Did I actually? I wasn't listening.
Incredible. Sorry. So James, what is it? Because I can't watch TV very much, and I really love the idea of it and like watching 6 minutes of it, and then I'm like, why are those men pretending? So is it the story or the characterizations or the images, like pretty images? What the fuck is it?
It's escapism. It's going into a different world. It's being completely absorbed into a different world. There's two things. I don't have many hobbies, Al.
No.
I do like to play the guitar, and now I'm gonna have more time. I am gonna do that. One of the many guitars I've got. The two things that I absolutely get reward from all the time is music and film. And for me, when I'm low, even like the shittest Tom Cruise film where you know everything that's going to happen and where this 5'6" guy is, beating up 6'4" people ridiculously. Even that kind of shit, I can sit and happily watch because it's like it sedates me. It's escapism from everyday life, whether it's a good film or a bad film. In fact, we deliberately seek out the worst films, kind of The Room, Birdemic, like films that are so bad they're good, and can
you
happily
watch them, actually watch them.
They're our
watch them.
Yeah,
watch them, and it's something that was it Hannibal Buress that did that joke? No, it was someone else we saw that did a joke, which was basically when you kind of get a partner around and you put a film on for them, and and after 15 minutes, and Robert from Kidderminster did this all the time. After 15 minutes, they say, "I'm just going to the toilet. Don't pause it.
Don't pause it."
Yeah.
I want them dead. People that say that, I want them dead. And obviously that did happen to Dad for unrelated reasons.
Yeah. Unrelated.
This for me, because it's so rewarding, because it's particularly if you've chosen something and then someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to pop out for a fag," or don't pause it. I feel like strangling them.
Even if they have ADHD and literally can't.
He doesn't take that into account, Al.
No. Even Sam, last night I think it was, or the night before, I put a film on, and I always now say to her, now I know that she'll be on her phone because that's where she gets her. I'd always say, "Don't worry, you don't have to watch it." But Sam actually said, "Don't pause it," and fucking hell, that was hard. Anyway, that's films.
Did you do it on purpose, Sam?
Yeah,
I really hope so. Good. That's right. Feel the hate flow
I
through
do
you.
everything on purpose. I don't really.
Sam, what about you in terms of losing interest in a thing that was valuable to you post-medication?
I was chairing this bit. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, but you took too long, mate. You snooze, you lose.
I don't know if I'm always losing interest in stuff. I don't think medication's made that any worse. I think I do focus more, and I do end up doing the same things over and 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 over again. Especially at work for some reason. I did. I didn't want to stop doing it. It was like a stim. I was loving it. Anyway, so I haven't noticed that I've lost it. I'm always losing interest in things, so I don't keep interest in anything. So no.
I really envy you all. I had to lie down yesterday for several hours, and that sounds, aren't you? Look, a fucking nightmare for me. Wasn't allowed to do anything because I've got the hilarious, dangerous blood pressure, and I tried to watch TV. I put some Star Wars stuff on, Bad Batch, and I put what's that sketch show in America where the guy's brilliantly funny and
I think you should leave. No.
Yes.
I think you should leave Jim Robertson.
So what I do is I have all the apps on my computer and I watch 3 minutes of each.
Oh, what's the other one?
It's literally no.
Sorry. I love association. Sorry, carry on.
Well, recognizing patterns, Sam.
Yeah.
We should do an episode on flexible associative thinking because it is fully aligned with ADHD, and some people think you can utilize. So I'm going into psychoeducation.
No, I liked it though.
Associative thinking, as I'm sure people know, is the 7 stages of Kevin Costner or 7 Phil, whatever it is. This links to that and this links to that, and because of lack of
links.
Well, exactly, and the reason is because you have cognitive inhibition problems. So what you're doing is you can't focus on something, so you'll jump and jump and jump, and that's a huge issue for loads of people. It's why we struggle at school, why we struggle at work, why we struggle in lots of areas. But some people have managed to make flexible associative links a part of their job, and obviously ADHD isn't a superpower, but that's a potential benefit. Ooh. You're right there, James. You're biting your finger.
Yeah, I'm massively hyperactive, and I was just checking if I've taken my meds. Shall I take us on to the second question, Alex? Because you're boring me.
No, I want to just tell you one thing. The pandemic stopped people watching TV. It was widely reported for similar reasons to ADHD. Didn't you stop watching football, James?
I have stopped watching. Yeah, that's not the pandemic. That's AD. I mean, I'm a massive Liverpool fan, but I now struggle to watch them. Anxiety is part of that, but also just I don't know. It's weird. I cannot tell you why it is. I should have said that. I can't tell you why it is now I'm medicated that I struggle. It's one of the things I get most reward from, but just even turning it on, I tend to follow it on Twitter. That's easy. I don't know why.
Yeah, I struggle more watching TV since I'm medicated. Actually, talking about it,
do I need to write down and explain to everybody how dopamine works and why? So things that you used to have to do, chasing the dragon, chasing any reward, you don't actually need anymore, because smaller rewards will give you the same level of emotional memory and reward feeling. So we'll do it. I'll write it down. I like writing episode names down. James, what's question 2? Thanks, Tim. It was an absolute beauty. So probably yes, don't know is the answer. That would have been easier.
So the next question is from Mr. Magoo, and he says, interested to know what measures people have taken to stop nail biting or finger chewing, or if it just happened organically for no reason. 43 years in, and I've never managed it.
Great one.
I don't know if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I have never got fingernails. Any fingernail that gets to the point where there's about a millimeter, there's one there. The thrill and excitement I get of, I can bite that one. It is huge. And for growing up, it's one of those things. I swear to God, growing up, it's one of those things they should ask you when they're doing a diagnosis. Did you bite your fingernails as a child? Because there's got to be a correlation there.
Some do, James. Some psychiatrists do.
Oh wow! Well, I mean, so I even medicated now, I still do it. I have tried stuff like painting that stuff that tastes like shit. It's not actual shit. I mean, it could be actual shit.
I just used to lick it off and go through the fine.
I actually saw something that I think it was Dawn from ADHD as F had said that she'd got false nails, which I think were metal or something.
Yeah,
and therefore they're not like plastic ones that you can bite. But again, there are things you can try, but again, you've got to have the ability to put them on, which means you've got to really want to stop doing this and then not just tear them off.
But I wonder if you'll just move it on to something else. Because I bite everything about myself.
You bite everything about yourself.
Yeah.
Amazing flexibility from Mrs. ADHD there. I was going to make that point, which is, and I've lost them, and this is the reason I started panicking, looking hyperactive. I had my wedding ring on, which Sam, you'd imagine most couples wear their wedding rings, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah? You got yours on, mate?
Unless you have a problem with things against your skin and have like
no, not that. Is it there? And the engagement ring, is it there? Some the one that I designed for you, is that there?
It'll turn up.
I don't.
She knows where it is. She knows where it is.
Where is it?
No, not on a finger.
It's not on my finger.
Yeah, because
when I go to pole lessons, I have to take it off, and I kept putting it places, and then losing it, and I was scared that I was going to lose them, so I just thought I'll never wear them again.
No, that's reasonable.
Necklace, maybe, mate. I've got Dad's ring now. God bless you, Dad, and it's on a necklace. Ding, indeed.
I could do that.
You could do that, but you can't be asked because there's no emotional reward in letting people know you're married to me. I wear, on my other hand, 2 rings, which they're not actually fidget rings, but they're just about big enough that I can sit there and spin them all the time. And the panic I get right now when they're not on my finger. So actually, sometimes there are other things you can do to kind of burn off that hyperactivity, whether it's a fidget ring or a fidget spinner or whatever. But yeah, there are things out there. Painting your nails with that awful tasting stuff, putting false nails on, finding alternative fidget things. Alex.
So yeah, I stopped at 39, and I did it by finding a short-term emotional reward to stop, essentially, which was, in my case, thinking about having longer nails for, like, I do DIY type things and foresty work, and it's always incredibly useful to have long nails, like little claws, and that really helped me to think about having long nails as a positive, rather than feeling shame and guilt for fucking nearly 40 years, which I did have. Like, not, again, part of being not a proper boy. Sam, when you said you just move it on to something else, that is the main aim of ADHD, because it isn't to not have ADHD, because that's going to fail. So actually moving it on, whatever it is that you don't like, to something else that's healthier, not healthy.
See, I meant because I chew my tongue, the inside of my lips, everything. Yep. So if I stop chewing my nails, I'm just going to chew my whole face off.
Okay, I mean they're not your only 2 options, is what I'm saying. It's just
right.
The option isn't to have that. Yeah. I mean, chewing gum isn't a terrible idea.
I've never thought of that.
Wow. Yeah. Right, I'm moving on to question 3. Thanks, Mr. Magoo. This is from Mama Chameleon, who said, I'm so sorry if I've already asked this. And if it's a dodgy question to answer, feel free to leave it on the floor, which is why I just immediately said I'm definitely using this. Didn't even read it. I'll just put it down here in case. When taking ADHD medication, does having a break cause any side effects or withdrawal? I've read that the meds don't need to build up, correct, apart from the non-stimulants. But since having a few days off my meds post ADHD supply shortages, I'm having a lot of side effects since restarting. I'm wondering if I should have gradually tapered back up. Appreciate you're not medical doctors and people can be different, etc. Great blooming question. Should have saved it for another one because we've been banging on for too long anyway. But because we're not medical doctors and it's really important, I've just made a note from the medical community just to say this disclaimer, which is under a doctor's supervision, people are sometimes given medicine breaks, children generally. And that's to check the medicine is still working because it does taper. Withdrawal can, but doesn't have to cause some other symptoms such as depression. And the side effects can start up again on restarting. ADHD meds do not have a cumulative chemical effect over time. They disappear from your body pretty quickly. But that doesn't mean that your behavior changes don't stay when you've... So be careful. Essentially, if you choose to take a medical break, a holiday from the meds, what they call it, a medicine holiday, it is more a personal choice than a medical choice. And many people blame other side effects on the meds. It's not always clear whether the thing you're doing is the meds or not. I do. I take them. I don't know if that's sensible. I also noticed that this is Lisdex. The stomach side effects come back for about 3 days quite strongly when I take the breaks, but I find that the meds work better with a break, and that isn't evidence-based and it isn't science. I don't want anybody to take my advice because that isn't my advice. My advice is to talk to your doctor. What about you, James?
Anecdotally, exactly the same. Because Lisdex is such an appetite suppressant for me, ironically not for Mrs. ADHD, but for me, I can't eat when I'm on it. And when it comes to, not this Christmas, obviously, but when it comes to Christmas time or times where you know you're going to eat something over a period of time, I'll stop taking them because I want to be able to eat and enjoy that kind of that environment. And Sam's breathing very heavily. You're right, mate.
Oh, sorry. I'm just taking a lot and I'm just trying to calm it down. Sorry.
Okay, mate. You carry on. Shouldn't have pointed
I'm not
it out.
saying I'm a hero or anything, Sam, but I didn't correct James then when he said it was ironic when it wasn't. It wasn't ironic.
Did I actually say that? Did I say moronic about you?
Yeah, you might have done. I don't listen to what you say.
Jesus Christ, you beef curtain with a beard.
I took a break. Just then. Yeah. Did you want me to?
Well, you can when I've maybe finished my bit. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, carry on.
Yes. So I do take breaks. Alex and I have mentioned this before, and this is not, please don't stop taking your meds because of this, but there's this really weird thing or statistic that if you look at long-term adherence to ADHD meds, it's really low. So after 5 years, only about 12% of people in this study were still taking their meds. And nobody knows why that is. Is it because of the side effects? Is it because they forget taking them and don't notice anything's different? Is it because, of other reasons? But it's possible, and again, this isn't evidence-based, that if they lose their efficacy or their effectiveness, it's possible that in the future, engineering breaks might be a way of trying to retain that. Alex, I'm not going to get him to because it'll bore the fucking shit out of you. But Alex could explain the biochemistry of constantly up-regulating the amount of dopamine in the brain because that has an effect on the dopamine receptors, and therefore you can understand why it might lose efficacy. But I do take a break. But like Alex, what I generally find is that the side effects I get, which is largely anxiety, do come back at the start of restarting and then go away after a few days. Mrs. ADHD, what about you?
Before you start, Sam, can I add that would be desensitization, James? And ironically, you're not desensitized to my pharmacological talk.
I'm not. No, Moronically.
I used ironically.
Yeah, no,
Sam,
I know
sorry.
you did. And I could see the delight in your face as well
So
as you
happy.
even thinking of it, let alone saying it. Sam.
Yeah.
Stopping
yeah,
meds.
sorry. Yeah. So, the other weekend, I didn't take them for a whole weekend. No different. No different on them. No different when I came back on them, off them, on them. But both the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what you reported to me. But then again, you haven't got any memory, have you? On the second day, you said there was a difference.
Did I? I
Yeah.
didn't think I did.
Anyway, brilliant. Wow. Oh, my God. I know. Poor metacognition. Right, we're going to take a break, come back in part 3 for further thoughts on this week's depressing theme and podcast. See you in a bit.
Yeah. Welcome back to episode 67, the week without Robert from Kidderminster, on the ADHD Adults podcast.
Wow,
professional. Got that right.
I read it.
Yeah, brilliant. That's amazing. Do you want to ask the first question?
Yeah, sure. What made you choose the last idea for a theme?
What was that?
Do you want to go first, Sam? Because I think it's really funny. Again, so the theme,
I have no editorial rights at all, so I didn't have any choice in what we choose as a theme. I put forward ideas, but I'm not allowed to choose them.
No.
How about you, James?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, isn't it? I don't know. Unrelated, it popped into my head at one point, and I thought ADHD and grief would be a good subject to cover. No, the reason is that even before my dad, Robert from Kidderminster, had passed, and I was already in some pain, but particularly after he passed, and I messaged Alex straight away saying, I want to do this on Tuesday. And Alex advisedly said, I think you should take a break. And I said, no. And that's because the pain that I felt, as I said on Monday, which I've already started to lose a bit, and that hurts me. I wanted to use that pain. All the pain I've had in my life, the depression, the ADHD, the having to work with Alex, all of those things that have caused me great pain, I have to use them for something positive, which is why I always bear all of the inner shit that I've got, so that even if one person out there says, I feel a bit more normal because there's somebody like me or worse than me, then to me, that's making something positive of that pain. And I wanted to not just have the chance to remember Robert from Kidderminster, but to use that pain so that if there's even one person listening out of our 12 Thursday listeners that has grieved or is going through a loss and just feels a little bit better, then that pain has done something positive. And that's why I really wanted to do this.
You're really not a psychopath, are you?
No,
you mean I'm a normal person, Alex? Yeah.
I can't read out what I've written now, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I think you should as well.
I just wrote, why did you choose this theme? It just seemed funny at the time.
But again, for anyone that thinks that Alex is a monster, he is a monster. It's that humor that we used over that last couple of days that kept me going. That we can never ever share those jokes that we wrote.
One or two of them were all right, aren't they?
Yeah, it kept me going. So I think that's really important.
I do have to check sometimes, don't I, that I haven't gone too far.
Yeah, and it's weird because we have a hashtag never too far, and I've never checked that with you. I mean, the one we talk about often, we can share this, is that when Alex was in a very bad place and he messaged me saying, I'm really struggling, and explained why he's in a bad place. And I said, listen, mate, you've got to think about things. You've got to take a big deep breath and then say out loud, I'm a giant fucking bellend and nobody likes it.
It was amazing.
And amazing. He laughed so much. I think we shared it on social media, but sometimes that's how we deal with it. Sometimes someone saying, I'm so sorry, that's really bad, it has less effect than saying, oh, fucking sort yourself out, you cock. Between us, obviously not in general. Don't send that to your mum or to your employer.
Both you and Sam were slightly worried about your health and not you dying, but maybe what would you do if you die? And we were talking about you dying in conversation. I said, because James impulsively gave me their projector the other few weeks ago, and Sam wanted it, and they've got the shitty one left. And I said, oh, James, if you do die, can I have your projector? And he said, you've already got the good one. And I said, yeah, I want them both.
I'd forgotten how angry I was about that, and now I'm angry again.
Oh, you should see it, Sam. It's just brilliant.
Amazing. But the next one's in blue, Alex. You're going to do your job and introduce it.
I am, yeah. But because you've got massive ADHD, you think that a 3 millisecond pause is like an 8 or 12 second piece of dead air.
Oh my God, Al.
But that's everyone with ADHD.
You make are like hours to me.
That's amazing.
Honestly, where every sentence you speak, I'm like, oh, come on.
Some people listen to this on double speed with ADHD, and we talk fast. Right. My question is, was there any, well, and I'm sure there was, but what was there any thought or tip from the theme when we talked about grief earlier that you forgot to say? My only thing is that we as an organisation can't stress enough how hard it is to get therapy on the NHS. Is that the right one? No, that's a different one.
Talking
I
therapy.
think that's for something else. Yeah, so it's not easy, and grief sometimes needs that. I'll start with Sam because James, I imagine you've got more on this for obvious reasons because I haven't really got.
So I'm
anything to say.
entitled to it.
Yeah, Sam, I guess in your own little way, you've had feelings.
Yeah, not feelings I'm entitled to have.
No.
Yeah, what is it? Oh,
Grief.
grief. Yeah. So
Incredible.
the forgetting thing is massive for me, and I'm really worried about that. And we're both really worried about that. So what I've been doing is when we've been talking about stories about Bob, I've been writing them down so that in the future, when we forget, we can just go over them, which I think will be really good. And also we're going to have like almost like a little shrine to him where he used to sit in our living room, just to remind us of him, because we know that we've got ADHD, and as much as we love him, we will forget that he ever existed at times. So we want to be reminded of him. So I think that's a nice thing to have.
I'm imagining you walking past the shrine and literally not noticing it exists.
I know, that's true.
What we do. Yeah. But it's good, isn't it? It's something you need to do. I like it. It's good. I have those documents for loads of people, things they've said to me, things that meant something little. It's weird.
Yeah, but that's a kill list, Alex, isn't it?
Isn't that what you meant?
Souvenirs.
Yeah.
Their last word.
Well, that was fucking funny, did you? You'll pay. Mum. What about you, James? Whatever.
See, that pause. That's what she's on about.
Yeah.
That, you fucker. I first of all, I'm really happy that I haven't cried in this episode, because it's not because I care less, but just because it feeds Alex somehow when I'm upset.
Ugly cry.
Yeah, it is an ugly cry. One of the things that I touched upon, and this is really important, is all the cliches you hear about someone passing on. They're cliches for a reason. They are all true. I would give everything, including my life, to have one more conversation with my dad. Just one more. The roller coaster of emotions, from this is the end of the world to no, it was okay for him, to I can't believe I'm never going to have a conversation with my dad again, to well, we get a bit more time now to do the things we need to do, to look after ourselves, to have fun. All of those emotions come, and they just come at such a frightening pace. To go from yesterday morning when I was fine, and then I wrote the eulogy, and then I was fine with that, but then afterwards, it just went from I'm coping with this and I'm not as upset, to utter despair. Now I do have cyclothymia, a form of bipolar, and therefore my mood is labile, but it was just a sudden, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be awake. And the only way I can not be awake safely is to Bosch and benzodiazepines and knock myself out. Not safely at all, actually.
No.
But being, I couldn't even, disappear into film and find some peace. I had to just not be awake. And that was because of that sudden grief that hit me.
Even Top Gun.
I'd never liked Top Gun. That's a wank film. Tom Cruise is a wank actor, but that is a wank film, Alex.
I was trying to think of a Tom Cruise film. I was really out
there. I'm sure he's done one about royalty or medieval time. I'm sure he must have. That must be one that you must enjoy.
No.
That's a shame. So email him.
Did you interview with the vampire, though?
He did, and it wasn't a great version of what was a great book.
I haven't seen it.
I quite liked it, actually.
Yeah. Should we get back to me, or?
I guess so.
I'd rather watch a Dracula. Was a Dracula in that one?
It's vampires again, isn't it? We're getting on to vampires again, which is obviously brilliant. What I would say, just to add to what we talked about on Monday, and this has been made very clear to me in the last few days, and again, sometimes leaving a gap between the Monday and the Thursday really helps. Lots of people have been through this. And you know what? When people have been through this that are very dear to me, because I've never grieved. My grandparent, I was born, my mum was 42, my dad was 44. I was born late. My brother was a mistake, 2 years older than me, and I was born to keep him company. That's what I like to think. And therefore, I didn't get to grieve my grandparents because 3 of them had passed away before I was born, and 1 died when I was 5, when I was at Cub Camp. And then it was just a good excuse to come home from Cub Camp because I hated it. Yeah, and I didn't therefore get that chance to grieve. So I've not really understood it. So when friends of mine have been through this process, I've done the they're there text. Oh, that must be terrible. I can't imagine. Well, I can fucking imagine now. And therefore, what I'll say is there will be people out there that have been through this. There will be people out there that will help you understand what you are not just going through, but what you are going to go through. Now Robert died just before that. I'm not superstitious, Alex. I'm a scientist. Apart from football, where superstition
really.
clearly has an impact. But I wouldn't call it a premonition, but a thought came into my head about 2 days before Robert passed away, which was, the thought was weird. It just said it snowed the day Dad died. And I told it to my niece Jessica, who's, like I say, has just been fucking wonderful and was doing so much with me, alternate nights with him and doing so much of his care. And I told her, and she looked to me and she said, like she thought it was going to be real. And she said something along the lines of, I hope it's us two that are there. And both of those things happened. And what that means long term is that the next time it snows, I know I'm going to think of Dad. And it's those things that people have said. It's birthdays, it's Father's Day. It's if it happens around Christmas, it's Christmas. That even if you can get through most of the year forgetting or thinking, you okay, Sam? Yeah. Even if you can get through most of the year forgetting or thinking, you will have reminders of this, and they may be painful. But listen to these people. If you've got friends that know you're going through this, they will get in touch. Believe me, because they have to me. Just listen to them because they understand. Can I just finish off with a story?
Yeah.
One of the things we did when Dad was dying was, Dad was, partly because of his ADHD, very clumsy. And most of our stories of Dad are hilarious ways in which he's injured himself. But there's just one story which I think is the funniest Dad story. And that is that we decided we wanted to spray paint the fences around Mum and Dad's mum's house. And we went down to a cheap DIY shop and bought the cheap DIY version of one of those pump spray bowls. Now, these had only just come out. So for us, they're like, oh my God, you pump the bottle and then just press the nozzle and it sprays. So we bought it. We filled it up with the fence paint. And me and Dad were out there and I pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped. Pressed the nozzle, nothing came out. Good one. And then pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped again.
Double ding.
And then went to spray the nozzle and nothing happened. And then as Dad walked towards this container, I said, oh, look, it's just leaking out of the thing there. And it just went, showered my dad with fence paint. And behind him on the wall was this Robert from Kidderminster shaped uncovered bit of brick. And he was
like in a cartoon.
Exactly like in a cartoon. And he was just covered in fence paint. My mum came out and pissed herself, literally laughing. She found it so funny. And he took it brilliant. He didn't get angry. He just looked at himself and started laughing. And I
it went all the way through his clothes, his underwear,
on his legs. His legs covered. It was my dad in a nutshell, that things happened to him that didn't happen to other people. And I just wanted to share
because of you in that case.
Yeah, because of me, obviously. I just wanted to share that because it meant so much to me.
Can you two pull yourselves together? Jesus. Honestly.
Sorry.
Emotional. The one, I haven't got anything to add, but the tip I probably would say now from listening to you two over this, we have been slightly self-indulgent, but I don't care, the last couple of ones, is that when you've said you've talked to somebody, each other or anybody about it, it's helped. That's it. Yeah. That's what we need to, that's the tip. Definitely talk about it. Got it. Right. Do you know what? I'm going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
That was episode 67 of the ADHD Adults podcast. And it was the something Thursday extra edition of the ADHD Adults podcast after Monday's episode on ADHD and grief. This was the week that Robert from Kidderminster sent me a great big box of letters, but he's no longer with us. If you like any of this nonsense, obviously unlikely, and want to get involved, contact us on the socials, the ADHD Adults, or Discord, even better, which is also the ADHD Adults, now searchable, and we would really like that. Have a brilliant week, and we'll see you next time. Bye all.
See you next week. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.
getting actual emails every day. Can I read one out?
Please do.
Okay, very quickly. The first one is Robert from Kidderminster has written, Alex, why don't you do the podcast on your own? It would be immeasurably better. This is from Robert from Kidderminster. And
Can I stop you there, because our 10 listeners are all now aware that you're going to say Robert from Kidderminster. So if you could just move on to the actual email and save them the bother.
It's from a Robert from Let Me Look from Kidderminster. Robert from Kidderminster. Robert from Kidderminster. Robert from Kidderminster.
I'm surprised.
We've got loads of correspondence coming in. Robert from Kidderminster, James. It says.
Oh, you've been sent a letter. Who from, Al?
Robert from Kidderminster. I've been sent a letter from. I'm just going to check. From Robert. From Robert from Kidderminster.
Robert from Kidderminster. Oh, I wonder what Robert had to say.
I've been sent a letter, James, from Robert from Kidderminster. It says, I'm proud of you, son.
Thanks, Robert. Cheers, Dad.